So a lot of you were dropping comments in the last video what my alternative would be to the Fire TV stick. Because if you missed it, Amazon is seemingly going to be releasing Vega OS Fire TV sticks in replace of their last few remaining Android ones. So instead of just making a video where I say, I would get this one, I wanted to do it a little bit different. I will be giving you my top 3 options based on these categories. The first one is best for side loading. The second one is easiest to use. And the third one is best for emulation / most powerful. Either way, I'm pretty confident in this video you'll be able to find either a really great option or at least a super affordable one. So if you want to support the channel, just subscribe down below. Let's get into it. The first section we're tackling is best to side load. And for this choice, I had a few different options, but ultimately I came to the consensus it is the ONN device lineup. Now, this includes a bunch of different models, so I want to talk about them and why I think they are best to sideload. So here are my biggest reasons why I think the ONN devices are probably the best for sideloading. And it starts really quickly with the price of them. And this is because they really offer a price model that is friendly for almost every buyer. In fact, their cheapest device, I believe now, is the 4K streaming box. I think the stick is actually a little bit more. It runs for 25 bucks. Yes, they used to have a stick that was 15. It was a lot cheaper, but 25 is still pretty good. And then you can get all the way up to a more premium device sitting at that $60 range. So they now have a complete lineup at 25, 40 for the 4K stick, 50 for the Plus model, and then the Beast, the top model, the 4K Pro 2, which is the one I'm on right now, well, in a second, is $60. So it's really a price-friendly structure that just also offers a really friendly operating system in Google TV. And the one great thing about Google TV and Android TV is they've never really tried to restrict sideloading in the same way. Now, there are some things that are coming up that may lead to a little bit more restriction. However, I do believe there is always going to be forms of sideloading on it, and I do not foresee them making their own Linux-based system that cannot install APKs like Amazon went and did. The one downside would be, of course, is the stick models don't come with a USB port. However, of course, they're top models, and I believe the Plus comes with a USB port as well. So you do get a few options if you don't want to sideload directly off of Downloader. This is another instance where you can do it through a USB drive. I would also say another one of the main reasons is their power. Although you don't see them at the tippity top of the benchmark scores, you do see them just below some very great units. So you can see the ON 4K Pro 2 is right here, just below, so it comes in about 6th, below the Shield TVs and the Fire TV cubes. And then you got the Plus. And then if we scroll down a little bit more, you'll see the Box 1, you'll see the Stick 1, the Stick 2. So they really do pack a punch and come with pretty decent features for streaming, such as, you know, a more than enough RAM, 4K, Dolby Vision in their top box as well. And technically their Plus and their Pro model both have the correct chip in it, where they should be able to AI upscale, but you have to do a bit of a workaround to get to that setting. However, it is still an option. Plus, just from my personal use with them, where they're now a product that when I first got them, I said they were complete garbage, to the lineup that they have now. Yes, I ate my words a little bit. They are just consistently one of the top leaders. Easiest to use really came down to 2 different choices for me: Roku or Apple TV. And I thought hard about this, but I decided to go with Apple TV. Pretty big question right away. Why is Apple TV easiest to use but not the best device? And the answer for that is pretty simple. A lot like the Fire TV stick, you actually can't sideload it. But one thing I love about it, way more than I ever have with the Fire TV stick, is just how simplistic it is. I mean, this is the main menu, and it has your apps in nice large icons, easy to scroll around to, and it is super fast and responsive. When you want to load an app, you can expect one of the, I mean, look at that. That's fresh from boot up. One of the quickest load times you'll ever get out of a device. You want to go to Netflix, give it a few seconds here, and we are already inside. Now, keep in mind, devices typically will take a little bit longer when you first power them up, which I have done, but the Apple TV just does it right. Now, this is just part number 1, because part number 2 includes the fact that if you have an iPhone and you're in Apple's ecosystem, there is a bunch of cool stuff you can do on here, including using your iPhone's camera to project a FaceTime on your TV screen and the camera is capturing you. So it's called a continuity video camera, I guess. Anyways, that's what it's used for. But of course, that downside of sideloading is going to be something that a lot of people don't like. But I just think there are so many positives and so many easy to use aspects of the Apple TV, especially so the reason why it came down to this or Roku is because Roku is also very simplistic. So if you have somebody in your family that doesn't understand tech, they just want to stream apps and they want to stream them fast, Apple TV is like the king of that. It is the king of simple streaming. Now the downside is that king comes with a price, and that price actually just increased. So let me go ahead and move my head over here, because the price is now $199 for the Wi-Fi 64 gigabyte version, and the Wi-Fi and Ethernet is 128 gigabytes of storage with that Ethernet port for an extra $50. Those are premium devices. Those are Nvidia Shield TV prices. But you get a product like my Apple TV that I've had for like 5 years now, and it still runs super, I think 5, it's around there, super fast and amazing. I would almost always pick the Wi-Fi and Ethernet option. That extra storage is never going to hurt you, and having a direct connection option is always a bonus. So if you want something easy to use, you don't want to mess around, you just want to stream Netflix, HBO Max, Crave if you're in Canada, Prime Video, it's the best option. For most powerful and best for emulation, I think you guys probably could have guessed what I was going with here. It's none other than, I mean, there's really no other choice in this case. It's the Nvidia Shield, and this can be either the Tube or the Pro version, although it seems like you can't really get the Tube in too many places. But let's talk about why this would be #1 for emulation and power. Now bringing us to our final device, the Nvidia Shield, which is best for emulation. And the really simple reason why I pick this is because despite it being close to a 10-year-old device now, I think it's 7 or 8, it is actually still consistently ranked in the top of the most powerful devices for CPU score. But that is not all, because when we're talking emulation and we go to the GPU score, it is ranked in the top, and it's not even close. So that's one of the main reasons why the Nvidia Shield, if you are trying to not just stream, but also game a little bit, emulation. I've played N64 games on here, GameCube a little bit. I don't know if it runs better now. It was always kind of iffy, but that was just GameCube emulation in general. It is super powerful, but you can also, with the smaller TV model, the one that I have, that's the cylinder, you can add in a micro SD card and format it directly to the internal storage. And with the other device, you can pretty much do the same thing with a hard drive and attach a hard drive with a ton of games on here. People have crazy emulation setups in here. Now, when we're talking actual streaming, well, this is also super powerful for that, because this is the original OG of AI upscaling. Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, 4K HDR, GeForce Gaming, which whatever, I don't even know if they still really push that. But it has just always been one of the most powerful streamers and emulation machines, and it still stands true today. Now the price is where things get iffy again, but the crazy part is you can actually get one for a little bit cheaper than the Apple TV now. The cylinder version, which you can't really get anywhere, I think right now. There might be some places where you can still buy it. Like if we go to Amazon here, it's going to show as sold out. There are still some places you can buy it in stores, but the Pro is pretty much the only one you can get right now. We're not sure. They're saying it's not because they are discontinuing it. I still kind of low-key think they are. But the Shield Pro is an amazing device, and at $200, you're going to have this for probably 6, 7, 8+ years, as long as you're okay with the fact that
by then they might come out with a new one or something, and you just might be a little bit behind. But it is still worth buying today. It is that good, and I love tech that can actually stand the test of time, and that's something that the Nvidia Shield has consistently done. It just continues to run great, and I still use it every day as my daily streamer.
That's my top 3 list, and I've actually put the links to all of these down below in the description. I also have some really great reviews coming up. We have 3 different projector reviews based on different prices. So we have some really cheap ones and also some really expensive high quality ones. And then I'm actually in Berlin for the IFA Tech Conference. So I'll be posting videos about my time there and some of the new tech I see, especially in the TV and streaming space. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see you later. Bye.